One team can make a difference. One team losing to one team can really make a difference. In the world of football, sometimes that doesn't really happen. But when you lose to one team, that ruins your entire season. Maybe multiple times, maybe just the one time. It just hurts sometimes. But what if you lose to the same team 3 times in a football season? That usually doesn't happen unless it's your divisional rival and then you bump into them in the playoffs. It's happened before a few times. But one of the most prominent times and one of the most underrated times happened in 1999 when the Jacksonville Jaguars put up such an effort that they were dominant against every team except one. And that one team ruined their chances to make the Super Bowl. The Jaguars have never been to the Super Bowl. They're like the Houston Texans, Cleveland Browns, and Detroit Lions. No Super Bowl appearances. There are reasons why, but this was the closest Jacksonville could get to the Super Bowl without hosting it. They have hosted it at least once. So anyway, let's talk about the 1999 Jacksonville Jaguars. So get ready. I said, are you ready? Are you ready for some Cutter What If NFL football? A weekend invasion! Yeah, it's Cutter talking to you live. We got the hits and the misses. So come join me for all the fun. All the rowdy fans come in. It's the weekend, y'all. Are you ready? Yeah, let's do this, baby. Yes. So the Jacksonville Jaguars were born out of an expansion plan in the 1990s. The NFL had not expanded since 1976 when Seattle and Tampa came down. They decided to add 2 new cities for 1995 and make it a 30-team league, if you will. Unfortunately, though, the cities that were supposed to get those expansion teams didn't, and all that. They gave Carolina and Jacksonville those the spots, meaning that, well, South Carolina with Clemson hosting the Carolina Panthers for one season, and then they moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. So anyway, putting those in the coastal areas was kind of huge, especially with the fact that they passed over Memphis, Baltimore, St. Louis, among others. But the joke was on everyone else, even though they lost, because those cities got teams. The Rams picked up the Rams went from LA to St. Louis. Memphis had the Oilers slash Titans for a few years before they went to Nashville to play. And Baltimore picked up the Browns from Cleveland. So everything was hunky dory. At least they got teams and all that. Yeah, a lot of people were like, why Jacksonville? Sure, they had a big stadium called the Gator Bowl, which actually held the Florida Georgia traditional regular season match and also a bowl game of that name since the 1930s, one of the oldest in college football. But Jacksonville wanted to make it work, and a plucky left-handed quarterback by the name of Mark Brunell, who went to the Green Bay organization and failed, was named Jacksonville starter. And Jacksonville actually, in their second season, got lucky. Carolina also went to the playoffs in their second season and went to the NFC title game. But Jacksonville needed a missed field goal by Morton Anderson from within 40 yards to make it to the playoffs as a wild card. And they used that momentum. They went to Buffalo, they beat the Bills 30-27 in Jim Kelly's last hurrah, if you will. And then the next week, they went into Denver to face the powerhouse Broncos, in which I did a video about the 96 Broncos and their mistake, losing to the Jaguars. They beat them 30-27, went to the AFC title game against the Pats, but the Pats beat the Jags. And then you got yourself the 99 season, but I'll skip past that for a little bit. Jacksonville has had some brushes. 2017, they got to the AFC title game against the Pats and nearly had it, but the Pats, with a last-minute touchdown, won the game. Went to the Super Bowl, and you know what happened that 28-3, need I say more. Jacksonville's had some decent players in the past, but they have been struggling with ownership, putting them in one home game in England and all that every year, which is signs of trouble ownership wise, because the Jaguars could soon move, by my guess. But the fact is that Jacksonville still has stayed alive. So let's talk about the 1999 Jaguars. Well, before we do that, got to give a shout out to Jaguar Gator 9 because, he does all these football videos and he's based in Jacksonville and goes to Jacksonville games. So, anyway, shout out to him. So, do we really need context? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But anyway, let's talk about the 99 Jaguars. So, the 99 Jaguars were, this was only their fifth season in the NFL, and Tom Coughlin was still their coach. Jimmy Smith put up 1,636 receiving yards. Only one guy beat him. That was pretty good. And their 14-2 record is still the best record in franchise history. And then Jacksonville wouldn't make the playoffs for another 6 years. Wouldn't win a playoff game until 2007. And it was their last division title until 2017. Don Capers was fired from Carolina as head coach, so the Jags hired him to be their defensive coordinator. And they went from 25th in defense to 4th, and nearly the fewest points. A lot of people said that the Jaguars had one of the easiest schedules around and all that. Jacksonville only faced two teams with a winning record, Tennessee and Miami. That's it. Nevertheless, so they picked up Zach Wiggert, a good guard, and Cornell Lake, a good free safety. And that's Kevin Devine to the Browns in the expansion draft because the Browns were coming back. But it didn't matter. They picked up Fernando Bryant, a good cornerback from Alabama. So anyway, Tom Coughlin was coach and GM, if you will. Quarterbacks. Mark Brunell with Jay Fiedler backing him up. Stacey Mack, Damian Shelton, James Stewart, not that James Stewart, and Fred Taylor were your running backs of note. Reggie Barlow, Keenan McCardle, Jimmy Smith, Alvis Witt, your wide receivers. Your tight end, Kyle Brady of note. Tony Pacelli, Leon Cersei, Zach Wiggert of note. Offensive line, D-line, Tony Brackens, Seth Payne, Regan Upshot, Ronaldo Wynn. Linebackers of note, Kevin Hardy, Lonnie Martz, Bryce Pop. Aaron Beasley, Fernando Bryant, Donovan Darius, Cornell Lake. Your defensive backs with Mike Hollis kicking, Brian Barker punting. In the regular season, they lost to the Titans on home turf 2019 in week 3. It was close. But in week 16, they went to Tennessee and got their asses handed to them. Although they pretty much clinched everything by the time of by the last week. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals. In the final week. So the Jaguars won 14 games, forcing the 13-win Tennessee Titans to the wild card round, which is shocking. I mean, a team winning 13 games, you almost have an automatic division, but nope, the Jaguars won 14. So the Jaguars would be on home turf. They were the 1 seed, obviously, and they would face the Miami Dolphins, who won a critical playoff game at home against the Indianapolis Colts when Mike Vanderjagt, in his first Vanderjoke choke moment, missed a big field goal, and then Lamar Smith ran in for that long touchdown. Fern Lundquist and Dan Deerdorf were making the call on a beautiful Saturday afternoon as the Jaguars would host the Dolphins. Dan Marino coming to town. But Dan Marino just did not do anything. Jacksonville had a 41-0 lead at one point. Obviously, you're going to win the game when you're up a 40-0. Mark Brunell passed to Jimmy Smith for a touchdown, Hollis field goal, then Fred Taylor on a broken 90-yard play got the touchdown to make it 17-0. And then a fumble recovery, a scoop and score, if you will, by Tony Brackens made it 24-0. Then Brunell to Fred Taylor for a touchdown, 31-0. James Stewart ran the ball for 25 yards, I guess giving Fred Taylor some time off. if you will. Field goal 41-0. But with 2 seconds left, Marino did throw a touchdown to Randy Gonstead, 41-7. So it looked like Miami would make a game out of it. Wrongo. Jay Fiedler came in the game because of how much they thought they were going to win. And he threw 2 touchdowns to Jimmy Smith and to Albus Whitted, and a touchdown run by Chris Howard. So the Jaguars won 62-7. Miami turned the ball over 7 times. That didn't help much. It was one of the most lopsided games in NFL history, and not the record. The record, of course, was 1940. But anyway, the Jaguars knew what they could do and all that. And they sent Dan Marino and Jimmy Johnson into retirement. So they hosted the Titans, and it looked like they were going to win. Greg Gumbel and Phil Simms on the call. Jacksonville started first as Brunell threw a touchdown to Kyle Brady, and then McNair threw a touchdown to Yancey Figplant. Tie game. James Stewart got a touchdown run for the Jags, and then DeGraco field goal. So it was 14-10 Jags. Then McNair ran one in for a touchdown. Brunell was sacked in the end zone, safety by Josh Evans, and then Derek Mason on a kick six, if you will, made it 26-14. Well, actually, yeah, the 2 points, and then Mason got the kick return that iced the game, if you will. Final score was 33-14. It was huge. The Jaguars became the first team in NFL history to lose 3 games to the same team in the same season. So, anyway, the Titans had 4 turnovers. The Jaguars had 6. So, unfortunately, that practically was game over. They lost the turnover battle. And the Titans defense put up 4 turnovers after halftime. So, anyway, it's a cautionary tale, like I say in my 2nd and 10 football things, and I keep saying. The Jags were 15-0, including the playoffs, against every opponent not named Tennessee. They would be 0-3. But the good news for the Jaguars is that they didn't lose to the eventual Super Bowl champs, as the Rams put them 1 yard short. So, yeah, there were weak schedules and all that. But, yeah, the Jaguars couldn't make it. So, what would have happened if the Jaguars had been to Super Bowl 34 against the Rams? Let's see. All right, so we got ourselves the 99 Rams and the 99 Jaguars. So the Jaguars would have been the home team because the Titans had their home jerseys in Super Bowl 34 at the Georgia Dome. So the AFC would have been the home team by proxy. So the Jaguars would face the Rams at the Georgia Dome. That's where Super Bowl 34 happened. So would the greatest show on turf take out the Jaguars? Let's see. Oh, they decided to go this way, huh? All right, we go to the center. And it's going to be the Georgia Dome. Jacksonville gets the ball first and have to punt. St. Louis would punt later. And then a 9-play, 74-yard drive by the Jags got them all the way to the 18. They needed a 35-yard field goal by McCullough. C'est bon. Sorry, they're just being bitches again. It used to always be on the left side. Now it's on the right side. Nevertheless, so the second quarter saw the Rams go down the field and then go to the second quarter. And then on a 12-play, 69-yard drive, Warner throws the touchdown to Torrey Holt, make it 7-3 for the Rams. The Jags went down the field for 66 yards, and Hollis made a field goal, 7-6. And then Hollis from 46 yards out makes the field goal, makes it 9-7. Jacksonville was roaring in a sense, but the ball was stripped. The Rams recovered the ball in Jacksonville territory, and then a 28-yard field goal on the last play of this half made it 10-9 Rams. In the third quarter, the Rams got the ball first and could only punt. After a few punts, the Rams had a 9-play, 68-yard drive as Wilkins kicked the field goal, making it 13-9 after 3. And in the fourth, Hollis goes for 50 yards for a field goal attempt wide right during the Buffalo. And then Warner, with the ball at their own 40, decided to heave one down the field for Asa Keem, who scores the touchdown, makes it 20-9. Jacksonville has to punt. Jacksonville was running out of time. 4th and 2 at the 20-yard line. Normally you go for a field goal, but you don't want to be down by 8. You needed a touchdown. But unfortunately, Fred Taylor gets stopped at the line. Wilkins kicks a field goal to ice it because they had to run a 4th down play. And the final score, the Rams 23, the Jags 9. So the Greatest Show on Turf would have won the Super Bowl, and the Jaguars would have been screwing up. Jags had 3 field goals. That was it. Only 2 touchdowns. Warner to Holt, Warner to Hakeem. Warner was named the MVP. The Rams were 5 for 14 on 3rd and 4th down conversions. The Jags 3 for 16 on conversions. Running yards 129.86 Rams. Passing yards Jags 167.151. She's like superstition. Warner 11 for 15, 165 for 2 touchdowns. Brunell 14 for 20, 167. No touchdowns, no interceptions though. Wilkins from 28, 22, and 44. Good. Hollis missed a 50-yard field goal. But come on, it's a 50-yard kick. Hollis made 3 field goals. So the Jaguars would have been screwed over. And the Rams would have won the Super Bowl, and the Greatest Show on Turf would not have put someone 1 yard short. But anyway, it's a cautionary tale. Sometimes winning all those games can lead to you having a target on your back. It could happen. Anyway, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do.